Hey everyone, it's Mike and Becca from My Travel BF. We asked for your questions on social media, so now we're here to answer them.
So over the last few months, we've had a ton of new subscribers, specifically on YouTube, as well as I guess some readers to our blog and everything. And we wanted to reintroduce ourselves and answer some questions that we've gotten from people, I guess, for the last year and a half. So let's start off with number one, and that's, what do you do for a living?
So right now we are both working at an international school here in Germany. Mike is an EAL teacher and I am a school counselor. Next question is related to that, so it's just, how do you like the school that you're working at?
I would say, speaking for probably both of us, is that we really love the school we're working at. It's something we were nervous about going into, being our first international school, but the community has really been outstanding and we've just really liked working there. And yeah, I don't know, it's been great.
Yeah, I would echo everything that Mike said and say that, for our first international school, it's been a really good experience.
So, tied to being in Hanover, the next question is, do you like living in Hanover?
So I will definitely say that the, excitement has kind of worn off about coming and moving to Hanover. When we got here, it was really nice weather during the summer, and then the fall was really beautiful. And now, end of January, beginning of February, we're kind of stuck in this gray, gloomy winter, and it's been a little rough.
Yeah, I would definitely agree with that. The gray skies, the lack of direct sunlight has been a bit of a challenge in winter. Obviously, it's a little warmer here than it is in Wisconsin, so the temperature hasn't been bad, but kind of the rain and the gray skies hasn't been our favorite part. But we like the city. We still have more to explore. It's just not, as big as Madrid, which is where we came from, so it seems smaller at times, but it's a nice place to live, and I'd say overall I like it.
Yeah. Okay, so this next question is kind of funny. It's from our friends at Near From Home. It's, what is your favorite German city and why is it Munich? So unfortunately, I've actually never been to Munich. I think Mike has.
Yeah, I was there like 10 years ago.
Okay, so I can't say whether or not Munich is my favorite city or not, but out of the few German cities that I have been to, my favorite one I guess I would say is Berlin. I just like the vibe, the culture, the diversity, the liveliness, and the fact that it's like a bigger, more like upbeat city.
And I've never been to Berlin, so that's obviously not my answer. But I had been to Munich about 10 years ago. It's just, I can't say it's my favorite, so sorry, Ben and Camille from Near From Home. I'm willing to give it another shot. I would love to go visit and have some insider tips.
Oh, yeah.
But I don't know, I really like Hamburg when we were there, and for a smaller city, I thought Goslar was really cool. We went for the Christmas market. You can check that video out right up here, but I would like to visit there maybe when we could go hiking in the mountains, because it's right by the Harz Mountains. So I don't know, I kind of like that for a smaller one, and then maybe Hamburg for a bigger one. Yeah. But I'd love to visit, Berlin, Munich, any other of the bigger cities.
Frankfurt. We still have a lot of exploring to do in Germany.
Definitely. And since Near From Home asked that question, make sure to check out their YouTube. It's right up here, as well as in the description below. There are a couple of friends of ours who do a lot of traveling around Germany and make excellent travel videos, so check them out. All right, so next up, it's a question about learning German, and it's, was learning German a pain?
Well, to be honest, it's still a pain because we are still learning German. We have not learned German fully. We have, though, if I guess you could compare German from when we got here, 6 months ago to now, it's, I guess, definitely improved. Our vocabulary is better, just like the amount of words that we know, but it's still a struggle. We are constantly with people who speak English, and also in Germany, it is pretty easy to, ask for help in English. Most people, I would say, would know some amount of English to get by, so it's been hard to learn German, definitely.
Yeah, I like the way it was phrased. Was it a pain? And it is a pain, I'll say, especially, we both speak Spanish, and we've both caught ourselves pronouncing German words in the way they would be in Spanish.
Yeah.
So learning some of those rules has been a bit tricky, as well as just, I guess, some of the language rules are different than they are in Spanish or in English. So overall, yeah, it's been a bit of a pain, but we also haven't signed up for like an intensive course.
Yeah. Okay, with that, the next question is, tips to learn German from scratch.
I would say the best tip to learn German from scratch is if you're going to use an app like Duolingo or Rosetta Stone or anything like that, that's going to give you some basics as far as reading, vocabulary, I don't know, all of those building blocks. But I would say really if you're visiting Germany or living in Germany and you want to be able to speak to people, is to start speaking right away. I know there are some online sites, I think it's like italki and Lingoda. Those are some different sites you can use to actually meet with a tutor and talk to them, or I'm sure there are plenty of other ones out there, but otherwise when you're in Germany, just try to speak German to people. Do your best to speak it and make sure those people know that you're trying to learn German and you want to speak it, because otherwise people will, in general, revert to English. And because it's just they're probably better at English than you're German. So if you just tell them you're trying to learn, most people would probably be respectful of that.
Yeah, I would say too, just like if you're going out to eat, just try to order in German. You know, they might ask you a question and then you're kind of like, what does that mean? But if you just do your best and try, then it's going to be the best thing.
All right, next up goes into a bit of a personal section here, and that is, what are your hobbies?
Yeah, so I guess I like to run, I like to dance. I've been able to take some dance classes here, which has been a lot of fun. I like to do yoga, although I haven't done that in a little bit. And I really do like to cook and bake, so I'm always like looking up new recipes, trying different things. And yeah, I guess that's pretty much it, apart from the typical like, you know, traveling, spending time with friends, families, finding a new good beer.
Yeah, for me, I guess it would be generally it's like YouTube, blogging, traveling, trying new things. That takes up, I'd say, the majority of our free time. But outside of that, I really like running, being active, going to the gym, getting together with friends, as well as exploring the city. I've really enjoyed exploring Hannover by bike. It's very bike friendly, as we've showed in a few of our other videos, and I really enjoy just kind of going on a bike ride around the city. As far as something I enjoy doing but haven't done for a while, that would be pottery. It was my minor in college and I did it a lot, but since we've been moving a lot and it's just been difficult to find a studio space for it to do it and really, I guess, dedicate time and space to it. But it's something I'd like to do again.
And you gotta make me something too.
Yeah, that's true.
And of course we love spending time with churro.
Yeah, of course. That was a given, that's why we didn't mention it.
Yeah. So the next question, kind of more personal, is have you been able to make friends moving abroad?
I would say we definitely have, especially working at the international school here. There's been, like I said earlier, an outstanding community of people who have really welcomed us here in Hannover. A lot of them are from other places in the world, being an international community, which also means they've moved here without generally like their friends and family from back home. So we've been able to meet people and meet really good friends easily that way and get connected, and that's been great. Yeah,
I would say the exact same thing. It's been really nice, and the school has been helpful with just getting to know more people.
One thing I'd add is that when we moved to Spain, we did it and we were working at public schools, and we didn't have that, I guess, international community to immediately plug into, as we kind of were there on our own in a way. And the best way to meet friends if you are moving abroad in that way is to join groups of things you're interested in. I joined a running group in Spain and they became some of my best friends there, and I met people that way, and it was just a great way to get connected to the local community, as well as find tips of places to eat, drink, and things to do.
Yeah.
All right, next up is the best food you've had since moving abroad.
Since moving abroad? So does that include Spain?
Yeah.
Okay, because I'm gonna say I don't know if I care for German food too much. I guess this is a hard one. I don't know. Do you have one off the top of your head?
Not off the top of my head. I don't know what the best food would be. I mean, we had some really good paella when we went to Valencia, Spain. That was good. Honestly, I really miss the tapas scene in Spain, and just being able to try like little bits and pieces of everything that were outstanding. Like, I've used the word outstanding like 4 times, but absolutely delicious. I don't know, it was just incredible to think about where here in Germany you're gonna go to a restaurant and generally have a big meal.
Yeah.
Although I don't like German food that much, they have much more of an international cuisine here in Germany than I found in Spain.
Yeah, that is true. And one thing that I did like about the Christmas markets here was that we could kind of do that like little bit of tasting different things, we got to try a bigger variety of things that way too.
Yeah.
I don't know. I guess if I had to pick one thing off the top of my head, I don't know. My gut is just telling me like Spanish tortilla.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, when we did that whole like Spanish tortilla, the best tortilla Madrid video.
Yeah.
I mean, we tried 6 of them in one day, I think. 6 or 7.
Yeah.
I think it was 6. But it was so good. It's so simple, but the ingredients, when they're fresh and high quality and it's just cooked really well, is really delicious. I was just thinking, I was like, one of the best things, it was really small, but one of the things I really liked was in Cadiz. When we went there for Carnival and we tried the red tuna, which is supposed to be like the best in the world. It was just something really small because it was expensive, so we tried a little bit, but that was really good. I don't know if it was my favorite, but I remember that being like special to try.
Yeah.
Ooh, there are a lot of good things though.
Yeah, mostly in Spain.
Yeah, mostly in Spain though. Not that there's anything wrong with German food, but we find ourselves eating at restaurants, I guess.
Like non-German restaurants.
Non-German restaurants, more.
Which is good that they have that international cuisine too.
Yeah.
So this next set of questions is more about like moving or living abroad. And the first one is, how did you find yourselves abroad?
Oh, I guess that's a big question. I don't know. Since the time we started dating, like 6.5 years ago, we had kind of always talked about moving abroad or moving somewhere else. We always loved travel. Before we met each other, we traveled a lot when we first met, and we always thought, what would be a fun way to live in another country so you can really experience it, get that like slow travel and really experience a culture and a language and the food somewhere. And we ended up looking at, I guess, international teaching because we're both certified educators, like Becca said earlier, in the US. And that was the best way for us to find a full-time job where we could afford to live abroad. And I don't know, and last year we ended up in Spain, and now we're here in Germany.
We both loved to travel, like before we met, like Mike said, and we always, I guess, we had also been wanting to see what, I guess, it would be like to live outside of the US for a long-term amount of time. That's kind of what originally, I guess, encouraged the move. And now, after about a year in Spain, now we've been here for 6 months, and we'll see where it goes.
So related to moving abroad, the next question is, what was the process like of moving abroad?
I mean, that could go into so many different things. Like emotionally, it was hard, especially towards the end. You're like questioning yourself. Did we make the right choice? Are we doing the right thing? Actual, like, I guess legally, all of the paperwork and stuff. When we first went to Spain, it was a lot. We were kind of on our own. The program that we went through was not as helpful with all of that, like, paperwork. We had to do that all our visa documentation. We had to make all those appointments by ourselves. Whereas, like, moving from Spain to Germany and having the job at the international school, they helped us with everything, which was super helpful, especially since we don't know German. I don't know. Other processes, like, finding an apartment and everything, it's kind of similar. Like Spain, we were on our own. We had to set up all the appointments and go on the tours, everything by ourselves. Here, we had so much help from the school. Yeah,
they had like a relocation agent kind of help us and then set up apartment showings and everything. We didn't go through the process fully because we ended up taking the first one, and we're happy with it. But yeah, like Becca said, between those two, it was kind of different. I guess emotionally, I kind of laughed before when you were talking about the ups and downs because I was all excited, like, we're moving to Spain, we're finally doing this, something we've talked about. And then we had sold a ton of our stuff, donated a bunch, and we were all packed up, basically ready to go, move out of our apartment. I think we were just sitting on a mattress. That was basically the only thing in our apartment left. And I just broke down because I was like, are we making the right decision? Like, we're giving up jobs we like and like close to family and friends and all this for something we've wanted and we were set on doing. But then it's like, oh my God, are we making the right decision? And obviously I think we did, but it was like the emotional roller coaster was up and down even when we got to the country. Like, you're excited and then all of a sudden you're like, oh, I'm living here, the excitement's worn off, and then it kind of goes back again and then down, and I don't know, it's just that in terms of the process. And even when we moved from Spain to Germany, we felt that when we got here. kind of that process start all over again, being in a new country, even though it wasn't terribly different from Spain overall, I guess.
So kind of along with that, next question is, how long do you plan on staying in Germany?
So we really like it here and we'd like to stay here. I can't say for the rest of our lives or anything like that, but we're also tied to our jobs and our work visas. So we signed a 2-year contract at our international school, and that means we'll be here through the end of next school year at least. And we'd like to stay here, but in terms of legally staying here, we would need to be extended another contract. So that's out of our hands. So I guess the rest is up in the air, but we'll be here at least until the end of next school year. And then I guess we'll see. So kind of tied to where we have lived abroad, it's what are the differences between Germany and Spain?
So we did talk about this in one of our videos, which you can check out right here. But I guess the major difference that I have noticed is kind of like the culture around like socializing and food. So I think it's much more common for Germans to invite people like over to their house, whereas in Spain it was more common for people to meet out at a place. And I know, you know, we can't always compare Madrid to a small city like Hannover, but Madrid just always felt so lively because people were always meeting out at a place. And with that too, like I guess the eating schedules too, and the culture around like tapas, people were always out either drinking or eating and like socializing, where I feel like I don't see that as much here.
Yeah, I don't see it as much here, and I think it, like you said, it could be either the culture of people with social life or simply the smaller plates, so it's a little bit easier to do that than people here might just go to a restaurant if they are out. I'm just going to add to that, as we kind of touched on it before, the language has been one big thing. And we went to Spain speaking Spanish. Our Spanish improved when we were there, but not being able to speak the language at all when we got here was a huge thing. But like Becca said, check out our video of Germany versus Spain and what are some of the differences in living in both, because that explains everything in much more detail than we're going to go into here.
All right, this next section of questions is more about our future and questions regarding the United States as well. First one up is, would you move back to the United States?
So I feel like that's a super loaded question and difficult to answer. So I don't know, I guess you kind of stumped us by asking that one. We don't have plans to move back, but as we kind of alluded to before, is our future working abroad is always tied to a contract or a work visa, since we don't have citizenship anywhere or permanent residence, which it is possible to get in different countries in different ways, but not something we currently have. And I think even in Germany, it would take like 8 years. So it's still tied to that work visa or work contract. And I suppose it's an option, but it's not something we have immediate plans to do or anything. In saying that, we do know a lot of our friends are back there, our family's back there, so I guess never say never, but no immediate plans to do so. All right, so the next one, I know I talked a lot about that one, this one's just as hard. They said, if not, so if you're not moving back to the US, where would you like to live, and where do you see yourself raising a family?
Oh, geez.
This all came from the same person, so.
Another tricky question. I would say that nothing is off the table. If, you know, after our 2 years here, if we're like, okay, we really like it, we might stay, and if we get another contract, we would stay. But if, you know, we decide, okay, it's time to move on to the next place, we might look into that too. When we originally did move abroad, our maybe goal or idea originally was to go somewhere where that was Spanish speaking, just because that is like one less barrier that we would have to deal with. Yeah, I don't know. And then about raising a family, I guess I've heard that Germany is a really good place to do that. They have really good healthcare, really great laws with maternity and paternity leave. So.
And just benefits overall for kids. And I mean, it's nice to see kids kind of like playing in the street or hopping on the tram or the metro, taking the bus, riding their bikes around the city, and it's generally safe all over. So I think like that's really nice and not something you see back where we're from in the US. I would say you didn't even see a ton in Madrid, to be honest.
Yeah, there's a lot of like independence with children here.
Yeah, but I think...
Which kind of makes me nervous.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess it's different because we're coming from a different culture where that's not the case. But I would say, as Becca said, it's kind of up in the air. We're open to anything, but everything's kind of tied to our work contract and visa. So we would like to stay here, but it's tied to that. And I guess it's up in the air, and we'll see.
We don't know what life brings us, and there's things that could happen that would bring us back to the U.S., or there's things that would happen that might take us to a new country, and we're open to it all. The last question is, what do you miss most about the U.S.?
Outside of family and friends, which I think is an obvious thing.
Yeah.
Outside of family and friends, I don't know, I worked at a brewery when I was there, and I really miss just being able to, this might sound really dumb, and people like from maybe a European standpoint where I know work hours are different, I really miss being able to just like have that second job and work there. I had so much fun giving tours and just working with the people there. I miss that. Sometimes I miss having a car. Even though we do have a German driver's license now, I miss having a car to be able to like go to places that aren't on public transit that we can't get to as easily now for a day trip.
I would say mine is also brewery related, but when we would visit new cities in the United States, we would like explore the city by like brewery hopping. And lately I've really been missing like the craft brewery scene in the US. And I know I'm gonna get a lot of hate because we're like in Germany and it has a wonderful selection of beer, and there are places to find craft beer here, I know that. Sometimes it's just nice to be able to like go somewhere and then be like, okay, we're gonna try a beer here, and then we're gonna walk to the next place and we'll try a beer there. And I don't know, yeah, that's something I've been missing lately.
Yeah, there are definitely things, I'd say just overall living abroad, that kind of come and go in terms of, I really miss this. And then you kind of forget about it because you have all these new things to experience, but then like something else will come up that you miss. I don't know, so it's kind of changed, but that's what we're missing right now. That might end up changing in a few weeks and we'll miss something else.
Yeah.
But obviously that's where we grew up, and there are things you're always going to miss no matter where you're living when you move around.
Yeah.
So that's going to do it for our video, for our Q&A. If you have anything else, leave them in the comments below, and make sure to check out our other videos. We'll see you over there. Bye. If, something, so Wisconsin.